The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to make parameter changes on the Roland FR-3x Virtual Accordion and to load files from a flash drive. We will change the reverb and the touch sensitivity of the orchestra, treble, bass, and chord sections. We will also load 2 user sets and 1 user program. Many things can be changed to make your 3x sound better and to personalize it for your taste. Page 43 of the manual provides a list of all of the parameters. I cannot go through all of them here, but I will show you how to access them and how to change some of the ones I consider most important. There are primarily 5 tabs or registers on the grill that allow you to make all of these changes. The first is the Set tab right on the top. This is what accesses the parameter and function menu. Hold this for several seconds until the screen displays a 3-letter code such as AUD. These letters are not easy to read, but if you also look on page 43 of the manual, you will see how they appear. Press the Set tab again to back out of the menu at any time and to return to the main screen. Registers 3 and 4 are for scrolling through the menu, going up or down the list of items. Registers 1 and 2 are for changing the values once you have selected a parameter item. You scroll through the possible changes to the settings or the values by using registers 1 or 2. You will usually have to refer to the manual to understand what these values mean, because they will be listed as numbers rather than as words. Finally, register 7 is very important. That is what you press to enter or save whatever you change. That's usually the final step in the process of changing parameters. To review, the Set tab allows you to get into the list of parameters. Registers 3 and 4 allow you to scroll through the menu items. Registers 1 and 2 change the values of the parameters. Register 7 saves those changes. Okay, now let's make a parameter change to the reverb. Do this by getting into the parameter menu by holding the Set button. Scroll down until you get to the REV or reverb parameter. This parameter sets the type of reverb, which can be a surprisingly important parameter. It's hard to read the letters on the screen, but it looks like a small R, a capital E, and a U more than a V. Again, check the manual to see what these letters look like. The default, which comes on your 3X from the factory, is called plate reverb, which is represented by the value of 6. I personally like Hall 1, which is a more expansive reverb. So once you are seeing the parameter REV on your screen, now use the registers 1 or 2 to select the specific value that you want from a range from 1 to 7. These are described on page 47 of the manual. Press register 1 or 2 until you see the default value 6, which stands for plate. Now change that to a 4, which is Hall 1. Do this by tapping the register 1 until you see the number 4. Once you select the value 4 for the reverb, if you decide to back out, this value is only saved until you turn off the 3X. When you power on again, the value reverts to 6 or plate. So let's save it permanently so that 4, or the Hall reverb, remains the value even after you turn off the 3X. You do this by holding the Set register for several seconds. You will see the letters URT. Again, it's hard to read. Once you see those, press register 2 and the screen will say yes. If you want to save what you've changed, now press enter, which is always register 7. Now your changes are saved, and each time you turn on the 3x, you will still have the new setting for reverb, which is Hall 1. Let's do 2 more parameter changes that many people like. The orchestra touch sensitivity and bass and chord sensitivity control how you create dynamic changes when you play certain orchestra sounds in the treble, bass, and chord, such as the electric piano, guitar, or piano. They can rely entirely on how hard or fast you strike the keys. This is called velocity sensitive. You could also have the bellows control those sounds, or even set a fixed volume. A lot of people like to use fixed medium plus bellows, which gives you a bottom level minimum sound, and you can then use the bellows for additional dynamics. Remember, you can set this to whatever you like. For now, though, let's change the orchestra touch sensitivity from 6, which is the default, to 7, which is a fixed medium plus bellows setting. After you make this change, you will notice that when you play the electric piano, for example, that there is a slightly higher constant value with additional dynamics influenced by the bellows. To make this change, again, hold the Set tab until you're in the parameter menu. Use register 3 or 4 to scroll to the O-T parameter, which stands for Orchestra Touch. Once you get there, use register 2 or 1 to change the value from a 6 to a 7. Let's go ahead and save this permanently. You do this once again by holding the Set button until you see URT on the screen. Press register 2, it says yes. Then press register 7 to enter that value into permanent memory. Now the orchestra touch sensitivity has been changed and saved to permanent memory on the 3x. So now let's complete the process by changing the orchestra bass and chord touch sensitivity. Hold the Set button until you see the parameter menu. You should only have to press the register 4 once to get to OBT, or orchestra bass touch. Once you're there, press register 1, which will allow you to decrease the value from 8 to 7. In other words, you're going from fixed high plus bellows to fixed medium plus bellows. This will slightly decrease the typical volume of the basses and chords. Let's save it permanently. Hold the Set button until you see URT. Press register 2 and you see yes. Then press register 7 for entering and saving the value permanently. There are many other parameters you may want to explore. See page 43 for the overall list and the pages that follow for details. Now I'd like to show you how to load a user set and then how to load a user program. Let's say you want to load a user set. Hold the Set tab until you get the parameters again. If you haven't turned off the 3x after the last operation, it will still read OBT for orchestra bass touch. Regardless of where you are in the menu, use registers 3 or 4 to scroll backwards or forwards. So get to the UST parameter or function, then press register 2 to see what sets are on your flash drive. For example, if you get user sets from me, you will see user sets 301 through 304. Each user set can be placed in one of 4 user set positions: U1, U2, U3, or U4. Select the user set to install by pressing register 1 or 2 to scroll through the values, in other words, through the user sets. I will select my set 301. Now, press register 7 to enter that user set value of 301. This is important. You now see a number from 1 to 4, which represents the user set position or memory slot where you'll be loading the set. If you want it to be in position 1, you would not have to do anything. It's ready to be loaded. So let's leave it at position 1. Now press register 7 to load the set. In a couple of seconds, it's done. You now have set 301 in user set position 1. You can immediately play the set you just loaded. From now on, when you turn on the 3x, you only need to tap the set button and then register 0 to get to this user set. I will quickly show how to load a second user set, this time set 302, into position 2. Hold the set button. You should be in the UST menu item. Use register 2 to select 302. That's the number of the set I want to load. Now press register 7 and you see the number 1. But I want to put this into position 2, so I scroll to position 2 by using register 2. Now press register 7 or enter, and you will load your second user set, this time into U2 memory position. Access this set in the future by pressing the set button, then hit register 0. Not once, but twice to get to the U2 position. Now, let's load a user program. A user program has 10 registers that you can press in order to get combinations of sounds from the treble, bass, chord, and percussion sections. Hold the set button. Now scroll to UPG for user program, which is just past the UST function. Press register 2 to see the possible user programs that are on your flash drive. If you see nothing listed, then either you have no user programs on your flash drive or the flash drive may not be properly seated. In this case, I want to load user program 301. When it is highlighted, just press register 7 to enter, and it immediately loads. Very simple. Play the user program you just installed by pressing the UP button on the grill, then any one of the 10 registers. So that's it. You should have learned how to change parameters, save those parameter changes permanently, load user sets, and load user programs. Continue to use the procedures so they become automatic. Please contact me if you're interested in my user sets and programs, or feel free to create your own. Thank you.